Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in the world. And welcome back. After the festive period, we are back for PC Tier 2 here for round number 8 in the Netherlands. It should be an absolutely fantastic evening ahead of us. A champion could be crowned tonight in a Swan Song race, but we'll have to wait and see. 36 laps ahead of us with a short qualifying session beforehand. It's Kokeni versus Zorzo for the title, the first of what potentially could be 3 installments of the battle. My name is Max Ring, and joining me alongside in the commentary box for what could be the championship-defining race, we have Hyperactive. How are you doing on this Monday evening, Hyper?
I think I ate too many mince pies, too much of Christmas pudding. I feel fatter. Oh my God, a bad start to the year. I'm kidding. I'm doing great. It has been too long. The festive season feels like we've just been in a drought. F1 season ended, F1 esports season ended, and now we're sitting here twiddling our thumbs waiting for something to happen, and we re-enter in what should be a banger of a way to kick things off. And, well, let's just put it simply. The magic number today is 8. That's all I need to say. 8 points is what's needed for Zorzo to claim victory and claim the championship, which if you go and run the numbers, Zorzo doesn't even need to win. If Kokeni wins this race, Zorzo just needs to be 6th or higher, and he is guaranteed championship here. So that is his goal. He can remain in the top 10 if Kokeni finds himself 2nd, and then even better, no matter where Kokeni goes below there, it is championship to Zorzo. So that is critically what Zorzo is looking at here.
It is super critical at what Zorzo is looking at. I mean, even if it's just damage control, a couple points here in this race to then bring it on to the next 2 rounds. But of course, he wants to get it done as early as possible. As I said, the Swan Song race for Diego Zorzo. This could be his final race before retirement, and what a way to get it done if you could pick up that title with it. Let's look at those drivers' standings now we're on the topic of them. As you can see, Zorzo 68 points clear of his closest competitor, not finished lower than 7th, which was last time out in Austria. But we are now looking at what could be a dominant season so far. The only driver this season yet to not score a point in a race. Of course, won the opening 4 rounds of the season at, of course, Vegas, Silverstone, Monza and Saudi Arabia. And since then, the form's taken a slight dip, hasn't it, Hyper? But still, he's just had that strong start of a season that nobody's really been able to catch up or even get anywhere near him.
No, and when you bang out 4 races in the first 4 wins in the first 4 races, get my words out, Hyper, it very much becomes that solidified identity and target that's put onto your back end. Yeah, fumbling around in Mexico, where he did just miss out on the podium. He made redemption in Australia, and then Austria. Well, I was doing F3 Austria, and that was chaotic, and I'm pretty sure the F2 one was as well. There is a chance of redemption here. The only thing I'd say in terms of form is Kokeni's form has been beyond hit and miss. Look at the United States, where he started, came second, great way to kick it off, then no points. Then we're back to points, but only landing himself fifth. Then double no points to podiums in the next two. It's almost like we're playing a yo-yo game. So Kokeni essentially needs to run on the streak that he has of podiums to keep himself alive.
He certainly does indeed. Of course, taking that win last time out at Austria did give him that all-important points heading into this race to strip that title away from Zorzo. Of course, everyone thought after that race Zorzo did win the title, but no. He got it taken away because Kokeni was able to take that race victory due to post-race penalties. And then quickly talking you through the rest of that top 10 before we head over trackside to qualify. It's then Tom Roberts on 38 points. There's still 30 points between second and third. Then closely followed by Cameron Dowds, who's on 37 points. He's had a very tricky season, but still somehow fourth in the standings. And it's Raminguez, Galindo, Modler, Bakar, Quintino, and Scott Holmes rounding out that top 10. And I mean, if you look at that top 10 hyper as we head trackside, if we had it as close as it is from third, all the way down to 10th, we could have had a barnstormer of a season in front of us.
I tell you what, it gives me true F2 vibes just looking at the standings here. Low points, it's mixed. There's always a driver that's jumping up near the top and taking a podium or taking the second, third step. It's so chaotic looking at these numbers. It gives me a little aneurysm. However, I do agree. It is truly a battle. I would say realistically a battle for third. Who can actually claim third place here? I feel Kokeni's pretty safe in second. He is still trying to, lean onto Zorzo for the first, which will be the topic point throughout today. But third and below, that truly is undecided. And taking account half, most of those races are going to be racing today. We could be seeing people jumping around like grasshoppers.
We certainly could indeed. That championship, especially from third down to the lower ends of the top 10 or even below that, could certainly swap around a lot today. Someone in the likes of 12th or 11th could see themselves to the very top of the pile. But we are going on board now with Cameron Dowds. He's going to be the first one to set a lap time. And we shall see what he can do. Of course, the man fourth in the standings. It's been a very, very difficult season. But he's actually going to do a double outlap. I think that's what a lot of these drivers are going to be doing here today. Hyper is doing this double call on the first few runs, just because you get such minimal tyre wear, and it's to burn a lot of fuel off that car.
Yeah, and also just the type of track it is, it's flowing corners as well. So you're not aggressively striking into these corners, you're just allowing the car to naturally flow. Apart from that turn that we just saw on camera, that was an aggressive yank of the steering wheel. So yeah, I do kind of agree with the idea of doing a double outlap, build more heat in those tires, put some more grip onto the track because it's going to slowly build and create some track evolution. But I think we are seeing a push here. This looks pretty aggressive and right now pretty clean.
Yeah, this is certainly a push here from Ave Gabadi, of course, now looking to make his way onto the brakes as we exit out of the middle sector of 47-1 through the middle part of that. Wasn't beaten there for, I think that was JSD in the Ferrari, who's just tiptoeing behind him. But Ave Gabadi now with the DRS open. This is going to be the benchmark of the session, the benchmark of the day. What's it going to be for the V car as he crosses the line? It's a 1 minute 7.7, a spectacular lap time. There was actually Ryan Modeler following him in, so he's 3/10 shy of Gabadi. Van Erven goes second fastest. Dowds, of course, was on his slow build lap. Then we have one of the Aston Martins coming to line. Is that of Basner? No, that'll be of his teammate Joel Marquardt just starting his next attempt. Then we'll have Kokeni. Then we'll have one of the Hasses. It'll be Dennis Langrock. Sorry, no, it wasn't Kokeni. It was actually Fanselter who goes fourth. Here comes Langrock who goes to third. Then we have Bakar who goes to the top of the times. A spectacular lap time there. And Gabadi's lap time is slowly starting to get beaten.
Of course, eyes looking towards the Mercedes, towards the McLaren. They're the ones who need to be up the top. And, well, Kokeni, at the moment, still waiting for him to come across the line. I don't think he's too far away from getting there. We are going to see Valentino put himself into 7th. Here's Zorzo, our championship leader. Is he going to go and put it on pole and really clinch the top? 3rd. There's room for error. There's a chance and hope for Kokeni to jump into pole.
There certainly is a chance for Kokeni. He's been so good in qualifying, has the Hungarian. But is this a moment where he just crumbles under that pressure ever so slightly? It's super close at the top. All of them in the 0.6s are 47.3 from Tamas Kokeni. That's about the pace we saw from Ave Gabadi in that middle sector. And a big slide as well. Coming out of turn 11. A little bit hesitant as well as we then make our way through the final corners and up to the line for Tamas Kokeni. It's been a scrappy end to the lap. What would it be for the Mercedes man? Only 11th fastest. But crucially here as well, Hyper, for the Mercedes man, it was only the first run, so those pre-quali or those mid-qualifying nerves might have just been lifted ever so slightly as he gets himself embedded into the session.
Yeah, it's better to throw a banker out, get all the nerves, make all your mistakes on those first runs, because the only point from here is improvement. We know that some drivers, they like to see those times looking in green. They feels it motivates them. Some are the opposite. Some actually want to be really quick on the first and then see the reds to find that extra bit. And some are like Lando Norris, who turns off those telemetry datas and say, hell no, I don't like seeing it. So there's room. But let's talk about the spread. That, to me, is dangerous. Bakar, a 7.6, and then we look at Besner, 8.2. We're not even a second of a gap between all 18 drivers. It is so close. 0.5, thank you very much, production. 0.54 is the split between these drivers. That is bonkers.
That is very much bonkers indeed, and we saw drivers make mistakes on their lap time, so it could get even closer. And look at that, between the top 6, less than a tenth separating those top 6 cars. And of course, that was actually a brilliant point there from Thomas Lang in the chat, is that of course, only 4 months ago, the gap in this tier, of course, was only 0.2 of a second. It was ridiculously close there between P1 and P20, but we now see Cameron Dowds heading out on to a next attempt. The question is now, though, for Cameron, of course, he's down in 17th. He did that double out lap on that last one. Did it potentially, even though he's going slow, take a little bit too much out of the tyre here, Hyper, or is he going to carry on that same strategy, or will the one out lap be pay dividends to his overall lap time? But with it being so close throughout the field, every few thousandths of a second matters.
I think he needs to be aggressive on the outlap and almost follow everybody else. I feel that's what I would do in this situation. Clearly this double I don't want to say it did a bad job, because being still within 0.5 of the leader is respectable within the esports world. It is very respectable. However, I feel that setting that fuel low, knowing exactly what you could do on one lap, is probably more sustainable when it comes to his final run. He might try, I personally in this situation might go for the same strategy again, and that's what he's going to do. Go for one more try, see how it turns out. If need be, final run, screw it, do what everyone else is doing. You don't know if you don't try again.
That is very true indeed. You don't know unless you try. So for Cameron Dowds, we know he's just going to go for that other outlap. He's 2 outlaps. He's the only driver so far I've seen do that in this session, so just being a little bit different from the rest. So I think the next driver we should be on board with might be Tonalata. We actually got to get. We're gonna get a lobby restart for that. Modler 5-place grid penalty, and he's on his outlap. And I think everyone else around him is on their outlap. So that is going to be a lobby restart pending. And if someone has a poor qualifying, that could potentially help them just shake things off a little bit more by having an extended break.
Ooh, that is huge. It gives Kokeni an opportunity to go back to 3 runs, assuming we do the lobby reset. That will give you essentially 4 runs to feel this track, make sure it's good. Of course, we have to stay to the same conditions. It's nice, sunny. We won't change that, and we'll look ahead to try and replicate. Oh no, we'll probably just randomize the race if we go down the scenario. We're not seeing anybody changing it up. That being said, I am seeing a Williams off to a blue marker. Is that the Williams, or no, he's just stepping out of the way? Don't worry, we're all good. Someone was stopped.
Yeah, just moving out the way there. I think that might have been a Tonalato down in 13th place currently. We've got Van Erven now coming through the final part of the lap. Of course, currently 10th fastest so far. What are we going to see from the Dutchman as he now makes his way to the start-finish line? Up to the line goes Van Erven. He goes 7th fastest, just behind Ave Gabadi. But still a very strong lap time in the making. Bakar starting his next attempt. I think Ave Gabadi is on a lap time. Yes, he is, but he actually, I think, potentially had to abort that one and now do the double out lap. And he's actually going to go for another cool lap on this one, I think, unless he's going to be pushing into that first corner. It does seem a little bit aggressive, but not the worst we have seen so far. Where's Modler on the road? He's just crossed the line. He's gone 8th fastest. Of course, he's the reason we're going to have a lobby restart through no fault of his own. And Dowds on that double out lap has gone to the top, but still oh so close between the top 2, with Bakar on a lap not improving.
Hey, insanity is not on the cards. His strategy worked. It was as planned, as coordinated. So Dowds happy with this position. Holmes the next up on the road. He's had hit and miss season in other leagues, but in here, not where he wants to be. The hit and miss does continue, and he wants to see improvements. Where can the other drivers go? I think we've got Aston Martin crossing the line. Is there going to be a jump? No, Besna does not improve. Actually, it was a positive, looked like by 3 seconds as well. So disappointment. Bakar, the slight improvements as Aaron will jump to the top. Oh, sorry, Alexandro will take the top as the lap times just keep on dropping.
They certainly do, and what a lap time that is there from Alejandro. Where is Diego Zorzo on his lap time? It's just about to switch over to him. He goes onto the front row of the grid. Crucially, his championship rival, Tamas Kokeni, only able 8th fastest, around about 2 tenths off. He's, of course, McLaren compatriot, he's McLaren rival. So Kokeni still have a lot of work to do at the moment. It is still ridiculously close throughout this field. But Alejandro now goes to the top of the times. Of course, he was very, very fast in his debut race in Australia. Just wasn't able to convert it into the race. Could today be different? He's certainly the new kid on the block, and he's showing himself off quite nicely to everybody else around him. Maybe next season he could be the one contending for the championship if we have, of course, some feisty racing next time out without Zorzo. But so far for the man in his potential final race of his career, a front row start, I don't think he'll be complaining about too much.
I don't think he'll be complaining, but I would have hopped back to your potential championships wording for Alejandro. Damn, did we just add a little bit of pepper to that mix and spice it up? I don't disagree. Alejandro's popped up in other leagues as well. Has been extremely competitive, but I feel it's a little too early to say championship contender. Definitely strong performance from Australia. 8th was where he ended up in Austria, but we know Austria could be a little bit more chaotic. A lot more overtaking does occur within that track. I wouldn't put the flame turn the flame up just yet. I feel he needs to prove himself a little bit more, in my opinion. However, I do agree that if we did have him more permanently in the season, maybe second, maybe third would be in the realms of a good fight for Alejandro.
Yeah, Alejandro certainly just having a few teething issues mainly so far in his opening few rounds. Not in qualifying, but mainly just in the races. And that's why I did potentially tip him for next season. This season's the learning season, just to get yourself used to the grid. And maybe we could have our follow-up champion to either Kokeni or Zozo. But we are now getting into crunch time of Q3. A championship-defining Q3, you could potentially say, if it stays like this. And it's Joel Marquardt who could potentially get us underway for these final runs. 3 minutes left on the clock. And we shall see what he can do.
I want to add to your kind of how important these lap times are, because it is so critical. Zandvoort, you can't overtake it. It's almost like another version of Monaco, but on an actual track. The only overtaking zone is into turn 1, where Marquardt is coming into now. And that's it. That's all you've got. And 9 times out of 10, it's a DRS train. So you don't find that opportunity. So it is so important for Kokeni to find a way into that top 3 and pray on the weather gods that it plays a green to wet to dry and just basically the heavens playing games and devils for him to get up near the top right now. That's what he's asking for.
Yeah, it certainly is, but of course we still have these final runs to go. We've got Tonelato on his lap time. Marquardt was going for that double out lap. He's up by half a tenth in the first sector as the Williams driver. Not really where you would expect him to be, down in 17th place. Usually a comfortable high midfield driver, but goes wide, heading out of turn 9, and he's aborted that run. What about JSD, who was just following in? So he seems to be doing the double out lap as well. Kokeni is on his lap, so let's go on board with the Mercedes driver. He may be in the middle of this train, but this is a very crucial lap on the way from the Hungarian.
Oh, he's got a toe as well, going up through the bendy S's, through 4, 5, 6, and then you really swing it through 7. Trust your car. It's so hard to do in the game, but you have to believe. Then 8, quick shift down before then this awkward braking zone. Many drivers lock up through 9, and then 10. Don't touch that devil curve. I promise you will spin all over the place, but Kokeni is nailing the corners. Is he finding improvement though? That's the question. He is. It's a 10th quicker. Not enough. He needs to find more. Only 2 more turns. 15. And then you go through 14 and you again brave the car. Allow the car to straight line it all the way through. Is there a possibility for front row? It's just short by 0.04 of a second. And Sorzo is still on a good lap. He could increase the lead. He can find pole. Oh, when you thought it would be close, it just got closer.
Now that is certainly potentially championship-defining lap times. And Zorzo, when that pressure was on him, has certainly delivered, but so has Kokeni as well. The 2 heavyweights going blow for blow in this session. Here comes Doubt. Can he snatch pole away? No, but goes third fastest, crucially. Another car in between Zorzo and Kokeni. Ramirez is pushing on, but he's a little bit further back on his lap time. What about Bakar? He's just started. He's next attempt. So we'll go on board with Aaron Ramirez as he now pushes on, currently on a 1 minute 7.5. What are we going to see in this middle sector? Actually, what about Alejandro? He's a little bit further back, so we'll stay on board with Ramirez again. He's 6 thousandths to the good in the middle sector as the Alpine. So at the moment, we'll just have to sit behind his teammate in 5th and 6th at the moment. For the French outfitters, Imtiaz comes into pit lane after setting his lap time, but here comes Ramirez to line. What would it be for the Alpine? And he stays 6th fastest. Ryan Bakar, he's up by 800ths in the middle sector. Won't be enough to take pole position away, but could improve a few good places across the line. He goes 5th fastest, so now all eyes turn to Alejandro, who's up in the middle sector. Can he snatch it back away from Zorzo? He can! By 8 thousandths of a second, the championship leader gets pole position, brutally snatched away from his hands, and Kokeni will be delighted with that one, because once again, there's one car less in between him and his championship fight, and now that things will get spicy into the race. But for Diego Zorzo, what could have been a pole position in his Swan Song race has just been stolen by his Spanish compatriot by the barest of margins.
Alejandro the jalapeno. Oh my, the fire just keeps on going. I take back what I said about the teething issues. There's no teething needed. He's just put that Red Bull on pole with dominance, really. 8,000ths of a second to bring it through. Zorzo will find second, Dowds in third. Kokeni critically behind the championship leader in fourth, Bakar in fifth, and Itzam in sixth. Before I could get to the rest, talk about bringing a nail biter, but it's a nail biter to visually watch, but the championship reads everything else. Remember, and you do have to remember, Zorzo just needs to finish sixth or higher, and he wins it all.
He certainly does. He's done everything he could in qualifying. Oh, how much he would have loved pole in his final race, especially in a season where, even though he's won and been so consistent, quali's not really been his strong suit so far this season. But we are going to be looking into a very, very chaotic race ahead. Of course, we are going to have a lobby restart to sort out Ryan Modler's 5th-place grid penalty, which was unfortunate to see. I'll quickly run you through the rest of your grid order, though, before we move on to a quick intermission break. It was Imtiaz Raminguez 7th, Gabadi 8th, 9th was Van Erven, 10th was Esti, and it was Langrock, Labella, Holmes, Modler will start in 9th place, so everybody below will be down an extra place. Then it's Van Seltzer, Tonalato, and Marquardt and Bazin, the 2 Aston Martins, round out your field for this evening. A disappointing night for them, over 1 lap it seems. But we'll quickly be heading to a quick intermission, and we'll be back when we head trackside to see if Zorzo can take the championship in his Swan Song race. welcome back everybody to the sand dunes of Zandvoort on the coast of the Netherlands. We got, of course, this magnificent racing facility here for the drivers to contest this evening. That will, of course, rejoin the calendar on 2021, but leave the calendar ever so shortly. The distance is 4.259 kilometers or 2.646 miles with 14 corners and 2 DRS zones, of course, being down the main straight and down between turns 10 and 11. The detection zones for them is just after turn 9 for the one down between 10 and 11, and then, of course, just after turn 12 for the one down the main straight where you open up the DRS through the mid part of the bankings. And only 2 real overtaking opportunities in this race. It's down into turn 11 and into turn 1 where the DRS is going to be used to try and get those moves done. But as we see trackside here, Hyper, it is a bone dry start to this race, but there are a few ominous clouds potentially looming in the distance.
I am down for a wet race. Please, sir, a wet race. But it doesn't matter with 4 lights on the screen. Make that 5. We're off and racing here in Zandvoort, and Alejandro gets a fantastic launch. What a way to get going as he leaves Zorzo for dust. Meanwhile, behind him, Dowds able to keep himself in play, but Bakar is ghosted through in, so something's gone wrong. And clearly both of these two, the Kick Sauber and also the Racing Ball, having to fight side by side as the D-Ghost finally comes through, but they're still tussling, staying close. But the V-Car with a little bit of debris from the side as they nudge each other through. Can't make it stick because Bakar has the kahoonies to keep it going. What an opening way to kick things off, and it just goes from bad to worse as already Dowds is under pressure by Kokoni.
Kokeni now going to be potentially going to be able to get this move done. It's a crucial move to get done if he wants to at least reclaim where he started in this race, and he does. Down into turn 11, he's up into 4th place. Bakar, a brilliant start, passing both Tamas and also Cameron Dowd for that 3rd place in this race, and already looking to put some pressure onto the championship leader in the start of this one. He's on the medium compounded tyres. Everybody but Dowds in that top 13 are on the mediums. Dowd's on the hards as Bakar looks to the outside through turn 1, tries to get the up and under. Here comes Aaron Raminguez as well onto Cameron Dowds. The hard tyres certainly not working in this opening stage as Imtiaz looked to the inside as well. Bakar not be able to get the move done on Diego Zorzo, but here comes Tamas Kokeni. This is a crucial move if he can put it off, but no, the Kick Sauber just shuts the door in his face as the 2 championship rivals are separated by this one mean green machine in the middle of them.
Yeah, Kokeni desperately needs to find a lunge, and at this rate, he is clearly faster. He's looking everywhere, and that's a lunge down the inside. We don't see moves into 10, but he made it work, and he's going to claim some DRS just for some extra good luck. He keeps the Kick Sauber towards the inside, and he lunges for it. Brave and bold, shall we say, from the Sauber driver, but it is whether he can keep the grip. He does, and Kokeni has to concede to what should have been his overtake. He now sits behind the green machine and watches from afar.
Yep, he now has to just potentially look for another lunge elsewhere. Wasn't able to get it done into the first corner. Taps the back ever so slightly. Dowd's back in front of Ray's Imtiaz as we now make our way up into turns 2 and then into 3. Bakar, a slight error in front of this train, and this might invite Kokeni to go for another attack into turn 7. But no, just having to sit behind for now, or is he's using that battery, looking to the outside, but just not close enough. And this is actually allowing Raminguez to maybe potentially apply that pressure to the Mercedes in front.
Kokeni knows that off the exit of 3, he has so much more traction that there is a chance to lunge in 7, but he has to use every ounce of power that car can provide to get him up the hill. And that's the thing. It's an uphill, slight dab braking zone, so it does allow for a good lunge. Realistically, if you can get side by side through 7 and have the inside line, 8 is his for the taking, and that may be the strategy here. If not 8, we know he can do it at 10.
Yeah, he certainly could get it done at turn 10. Could Tamás Kokeni or even Aaron Ramirez or anybody so far in this train. Cameron Dowds could potentially see a fight back within the next few laps as those medium tyres start to wear off and those hards come into play. He's done good damage limitation after those opening couple of skirmishes, and he, of course, lines up 6th at the moment. You can see Ramirez trying a different line, potentially trying to get the up and under onto Tamás Kokeni, just not close enough to see himself drive by and look for a lunge to the outside of turn 7. But as we now make our way through the long right-hander, Bakart really struggles in this middle part of the lap, so potentially has gone for a bit more downforce here, Hyper, but it really is not helping him through this tight and technical middle sector.
That knowledge will manifest in Kokeni's brain. He now knows where that weakness lies. He's seen it time and time again. Even when he's tried for lunges into 7 on the last few laps, it's always turned out that he's able to remain close through the remainder of 8, 9, and 10. So that mindset starts to shift to go, okay, turn 1, not going to be my best opportunity. This guy, the guy ahead of me, has a very thin wing, and he can't make that overtake. So why not do this in this technical zones? And vice versa, Zor's, Jesus Christ, Diego is struggling to also get past Alejandro. May that be tactically that he's staying behind, because we know a lot of these drivers who are up ahead seems to sponge their pace, or he is genuinely struggling to actually find some straight line speed.
Yeah, I think he might be struggling. There's a little bit of lag on my end of the screen, but that's just sorted itself out. So sorry if you saw a little bit of jittering there from Ryan Bakar. But we are back to being all good. But as we see, look at that, just how much it congests at the moment. Behind it, actually, Zorzo as well. Zorzo seems to be struggling in the middle part of the lap as well, as Alejandro is slowly just breaking clear. That gap now up to 6/10, but the DRS was able to come down to half a second. But Alejandro having a good race out in front at the moment. Of course, at a circuit where dirty air is quite crucial as well. Of course, you need a lot of downforce on these cars through that technical middle part of the lap. You feel a lot of the front end just get away from you, especially through turns 8 and 9 here, Hyper. That it does mean that Alejandro in that clean air might get the better tyres and potentially could extend this stint for a little bit longer heading into that pit stop window.
That comes on to a brilliant point, and is this pit stop window. We know how critical 1 to 2 laps make on the race pace of these drivers, as we are seeing a little bit of a tussle between the Williams and the Aston Martin, a banging of wheels, but it's going to be Leonardo sticking it round the outside, fending off his position against Lucas Besner, and in doing so, nothing too much changes. But back to my point, it is critical. 1-2 lap pit stop difference is the make and break. And on a track that is so deep with a move, maybe. Hold up. Wait a second. Kokeni's going for some moves. And again, turn 9, he's getting brave and bold, and those cogs are slowly turning.
They slowly are. He sees where he's weak and is trying to break it down, but it might not even be because Bakar's weak. It might be because his championship rival's weak, just backing up the Kick Sauber into the Mercedes path. And that could be what Zorzo could potentially be doing as well, backing up the train behind him and allowing Kokeni to potentially be swallowed up by the likes of Ramirez and Dowds, but it's just not working at this current moment in time. Is Bakar going to go for a move? Imtiaz already into pit lane. Don't know if he picked up any damage, picked up a 10-second time penalty. If it was for damage, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a retirement. But no, this is actually a planned pit stop here from Race Imtiaz. Unfortunately, he picked up the 10 seconds, but this is a crucial moment in this race, not only for Imtiaz to try and gain some positions, but also for the 2 in the championship fighting everyone around them to know if the hards are the right side to go onto at the moment.
Well, the only comparison we have for hards is Dowds. Cameron Dowds in 6th. He had a terrible start. Up in 4th. He's now down into 6th. And that was due to slow tire warm-up that we see in these hards. So critically, Imtiaz needs to press hard early on, and then he can match the pace of these medium runners. Then he can fight the way he wants to, but I feel this is really too early from the Alpine driver. Personally, I think he's thrown it. I think he's thrown his entire race. Plus, that 10-second time penalty definitely doesn't help. But if we were talking of on-track position, it just doesn't feel right as Bakar. Every time I look at those numbers, he keeps getting closer.
He just closes into Zorzo, but it's just not enough with Zorzo having that DRS as well. As Gabadi and Holmes come into pit lane, they also are following this strategy from Imtiaz, and Hile will come out probably just behind the Alpine, as you can see on the track map. Yeah, Imtiaz going to be out well clear. He was well clear in the first place, and he is, of course, now up into 16th. If it wasn't for that 10-second, this strategy could be coming good for him as everybody congests, especially through this middle sector. He could get quite a nice undercut from it. Dowds is nearly a second away from Aaron Ramirez in this one. But as we see Ryan Bakar, the middleman between the two championship protagonists, still holding firm in his position. There must be a lot of pressure on Bakar at the moment. Maybe a little bit of gremlins in his mind as well, because he knows one wrong move onto Zorzo and he could just cost him, the McLaren, the championship. And then if he just defends that a little bit too aggressively against Kokeni, or if he breaks a little bit too early, he could ruin Kokeni's chances. So, yeah, he's probably in a little bit of split minds right now, as we actually see Kokeni into pit lane.
Wow, okay. I was about to make comment that with the likes of Imtaz pitting early will force a few drivers to have to cover, and then a few people risking it, but I didn't expect the leaders to be influenced in such a way, but hey, Imtaz got open air, a 1:11.5 for the fastest lap. Oh, wow. Excuse me, buddy. There's something called smooth braking. It was Ave going by.
Yeah, Ave goes by, Imtiaz goes by, so that undercut has really helped them indeed. And actually, this could be very, very crucial for the likes of Zorzo and Bakar, because if we've just seen this from one lap here, of course, Hyper, especially for Ave Gabadi, who was down in around about 8th, 9th place when he came into pit lane, and he's jumped the man that was running 4th, how much more could they climb over the course of the lap? And can Kokeni potentially break himself into the top runnings of this order and potentially in front of his championship rival Zorzo? Do we see the McLaren react to his championship rival's pit stop? No, we do not. What about Bakar? No, everybody's staying out for longer, potentially knowing that the tyre delta is more important than having that track position in the long run.
Yeah, there's also the fact as well, I mentioned briefly that Alejandro could be running one of two things here. One is he is going all out, or two is he is holding up Diego here. He is holding up Zorzo to stay behind. He is picking and choosing where he's speeding up, where he's slowing down, managing his own tires. If this is, well, I say if, it is the case. Let's be real with F1 esports. It's always the case. Imtaz and below here, who have decided to go for that pit stop, now are able to run at a faster pace, control their own race, and theoretically jump a load of positions come the latter stages, while everyone else is stuck in a massive train behind Alejandro. So that is something to be mindful of. Of course, Imtaz has clearly jumped 2 positions here in the net pooling related to pit stops, because Kokeni, who was sitting in 4th, well, there was definitely nobody behind him, because the 3 are still ahead, hasn't pitted yet.
Yeah, they're still not coming to pit lane just yet. They will certainly fall behind. Of course, Tamas Kokeni, have they potentially put the burners on ever so slightly just to up the pace a little bit from everybody around them as well? This is 10.7 as the now fastest lap from Kokeni. The Hungarian, of course, needs to outscore Diego Zorzo by a total of 18 points here this evening if he wants any chance of making his way into the final 2 rounds of the season with a fighting chance of the title. We're currently looking at JSD, Ryan Modler, as he makes his way through turn 10 as he tries to hunt down Cameron Dowds in front. There's not really been a serial improvement in pace, really, from Cameron Dowds since those hards have come into that being the better playing field, the better tyre to be on. He's kind of just sat around about 7 tenths behind for a majority of this race to Aaron Ramirez. And it just seems he's not been able to switch them on, but potentially being on the mediums a little bit later might just give him that opportunity to climb his way up through the field. Is still nobody pitting from this front few trains. Have these drivers gone a little bit too early at the back?
I think too early, but I want to make a point on Cameron. He's also biding his time. He's made some little nibbles from the pace. He's been able to close a little bit down from Aaron, but again, he's in this prime position where he doesn't have to react. He doesn't have to push. Why degrade your hards when everyone around you can pit? You're going to then get some clean air in the latter stages and flat out push. You could go for it. However, with the rest of the field who have pitted and now is only 6.3 seconds and dropping like a mountain, you've got to be realistic in yourself and think, well, am I really on the best strategy by playing it slow here? Or should I put my foot down, get to the head of this pack, and then control my pace from here? Because I'm worried. It's now down to 5.7, and I only said 6.3, a matter of moments ago.
Yes, she did indeed, but of course lap 13 of 36, it is a long race ahead still. Lanrock now comes into pit lane. Valentina Labella not able to get the move done on Fanselter for that 7th place at the moment. Alejandro, of course, has been just cruising out in front. He's just been able to keep hold of his tyres quite nicely, but look at that. Look how much of a tyre delta they've got already. Even though Lanrock and SC have come out behind and quite a way behind those drivers that have boxed. Compared to MTS, they've got 6-lap fresher tyres. Compared to GoBaddy, they've got a 5-lap better tyres. And then compared to Van Erven and Kokeni, it's 4 laps. And on this game, 4 laps, that is monumental levels of difference. And these drivers, the likes of Alejandro, Zorzo, Bakar, the longer they can extend this tyre, they're going to be 20 to 30% better off on tyre wear come the end of this race.
And just for viewers' information, we're going to get overtaking, baby. We're going to get some dive bombs starting to come in because the grip distance difference is huge. We're going to see these lunges going around the outside of 7 into 9, 10, those crazy positions as finally Alejandro will come into the pits along with Diego, along with Aaron. So a lot of the top runners saying, right, now it's time to pounce.
Yeah, they are certainly going to be pouncing indeed on coming into the pit lane. They will have that tyre difference. Of course, Kokeni and Co have flown by. And Sorzo, is he going to be jumped by Lanrock? It'll be crucial for his race that he doesn't get jumped by Dennis. And he does not. But Raminguez might just get jumped indeed. Also, he accidentally went to the wrong person there. But for Dennis, Lanrock went through there and was able to stay in front. Was able to stay behind Aaron Raminguez, and the Alpine stays ahead. We might potentially be seeing the likes of MTS, Gabadi and Holmes on a 2-stop strategy here in this race. I'm not too sure, though. I think those hards can go quite a distance around this circuit, because, of course, if the mediums can go 13 laps, what stops the likes of those hard tyres from going 20 to even 30 laps in this race? Of course, they will be in puncture territory, but they certainly could make it to that point in this race if they take enough care of them, as Bakar finally darts into pit lane.
Max, time out. I've just realized something we've completely missed, and it's probably quite critical information. Kokeni has jumped all the people who have pit stopped here. He is at the front of the train. And in doing so, there is now a bunch load of drivers that still haven't pitted yet, but there are a bunch load of drivers that could potentially create the gap from him to Diego Zorzo. So remember, if Kokeni wins this race, Diego Zorzo just needs to be 6th and above. I am counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He is net 7th right now.
That is certainly a good position for Kokeni to be in, but being on that 2-stop strategy potentially might just cost him. It's going to be all about how these that final pit stop potentially for the likes of Kokeni and Co do go for them. I think everybody else will stay out on that 1 stop with a real split in the strategies here for these drivers. And we'll see what they're going to be able to do. So for Ryan Bakar, as we're on board of him, he got jumped by Dennis Lanrock Raminguez. So that's cost him quite dearly in terms of this race. As Baisner now comes into pit lane Will the likes of Alejandro and Diego Zorza be able to make their way through on the likes, of course, the first driver being Van Erven, as they, of course, now join this train of cars that sit behind Tamas Kokeni.
Oh, we just missed Bakar. We just missed Bakar as he did get past Langrock. Oh, we just had a Lance Stroll moment there. But we will stick with Kokeni as he is now got some free air once again. And once again, he can start to put the foot down, start to create some pace, because if he is truly going for that 2-stop, he is not going to hold up. He is not going to play tire management. He is going pedal to the metal and closing down this gap as quickly as he can and create distance between him and Diego, which I think, personally, I think 2 stops are risky, and I don't think it will be successful, but please prove me wrong. When have I ever been right on strategy?
It's a very risky one. I don't believe it could potentially work in this one because it's so difficult to overtake once everybody's got that DRS. I mean, we'll see what Alejandro does as he's behind Van Erven at the moment. Of course, Van Erven's not got the DRS, but Alejandro does. He just can't get close enough as of now. But of course, a lot of these drivers that have just come into the pit lane, they're going to be saving quite a bit in this early stage. They're just going to be looking to take these tyres as long as they possibly can here, Hyper, and to just go again and then just rebuild once everybody comes into pit lane in front of them if they do that 2-stop. As we see, of course, for Alejandro, he's getting closer, but those tyres aren't really gaining much than what you would expect. You would have thought by now, especially through the first sector, Alejandro will be all over the back of Van Erven.
Yeah. Interesting. Is this maybe more of an example that Alejandro did have that pure pace that kept him ahead of Diego? I say that just as Diego does come in and close up the gap with DRS, but it took him a while and it took him a lot longer. So I would honestly say that Alejandro is driving hard to keep Diego at bay here, and now he's got an opportunity to get past that Williams. He will take the first opportunity to make that happen. Does Diego able to follow suit? He looks to the inside. It's risky. Yes, they do touch slightly. It's a brief little love tap, but it's so nip and tuck. I don't think Diego wanted to go that deep.
No, I don't think he did at all, and it's cost him a little bit of time to Alejandro in front, but crucially, Van Erven will be holding up Ramirez through this middle sector. As we now make our way through turn 7, the Williams driver just holding up the Alpine, but he's not really holding him up by too much because he's still sticking with Diego Zorza now at the moment. Is Van Erven will have DRS. And we'll see as he looks to the inside, goes Ramirez. There's some contact between the pair. And Aaron Ramirez might just be able to get this move done, but a little bit of a wobble might just actually invite Ryan Bakar into the fray. He's going to look to the inside line of Ramirez. Can he get this one done into 11? He got properly squeezed onto the grass as we headed onto that DRS straight. And now on the exit of 12, nearly was onto the grass again. As we head through 14, Ramirez shown the door. That's allowed Langrock through as well. And Bakar moves himself up into 12th, potentially could just lose that position instantly though from the Haas driver behind.
Yeah, forcing a driver off the track as well. You got to look at a steward's perspective. That was so close. You'd have to get the rule book out and look at the exact wording on how you would rule that, because, well, one of the tires did dip onto the curb. Means there's no car width of a gap between it. So question marks for sure, but Bakar, he won't care. Right now, he's got past who he needs to. He's finding himself one position away from a singular point.
Yeah, it might just be enough for Bakar to now get past Van Erven. Of course, was the rolling roadblock in a sense to that one. And with Ramirez going for that move, cost him dearly as Joel Marquardt now gets overtaken by Tamas Kokeni, who moves himself up into the top 3 in this stage of the race. Of course, the leader of those drivers that pitted around about that lap 8, lap 9 mark. So as we make our way through turn 14, Reyes Imtiaz will now be looking to get involved. And is he going to get involved? It's actually Kokeni to the outside of his teammate Van Selter. That was very close between the silver arrows. That was contact actually as well on the exit of the corner. Van Selter did not want to let him by lightly, even though his teammate is fighting for the championship. And that nearly ended in tears for a teammate collision. Luckily for the pair of them, though, they're able to carry on racing. And Kilkenny will now start to streak clear with Alejandro 5.8 seconds behind Scott Holmes at this stage. That it's going to be just all about now for Alejandro, how quickly he can catch up to the drivers that have already made that stop. And so we see now Imtiaz getting past Marquardt. I'll need to get past Florian Van Selter as Kilkenny just streaks off into the distance.
Yeah, Kilkenny needs to hunt down Dowds. He needs to be ahead because in his current position, Diego takes the championship. He will walk away champion even in 9th. But if he's able to push himself up into 1st, that whole situation changes. And essentially, Ave has to be replaced with Diego for the championship to be won by for Diego. But it's a bit of a fest happening here. We see a lot of overtakes as down the inside, which has seen Ave go for a lunge onto Joe. That was a bit of a bitter and get out the way move. As finally the quicker cars are starting to get through the, well, I don't want to say slower, but older cars.
Yeah, they're starting to get through the drivers on those older tyres that have been on them since the very start of this race. Of course, they'll be in soon for the medium compound of tyres. Of course, the lap 21 of 36, excuse me. They'll probably be in a roundabout in the next couple of laps, and we'll see what they can do. Of course, they've done 20 laps on those tyres thus far. Another 10 laps for the likes of Imtiaz Kilkenny. We'll see them to around about 22 laps. I think they might do a short burst, potentially even on the soft tyre if they can take them long enough near the end. We'll have to wait and see. Alejandro has really put his foot down over the past few laps to catch up to Scott Holmes. Potentially has been helped by the battling with those slower tired runners. Kilkenny is now all over the back of Cameron Dowds. But those drivers that boxed a little bit later are slowly catching as Van Selter comes into pit lane for those mediums. And there goes Kilkenny. Dowds doesn't even put up a fight against the Mercedes driver. Just knows it's not worth losing the time.
He made a slight little wiggle to kind of give that indication of, hey, yeah, you can have it afterwards. Coast him through. But that's all that Cameron did. And he knows in this situation, Kilkenny, faster pace, caught up with him in a matter of seconds. What's the point of ruining your race? At this point, Cameron is just trying to wait for the right moment to go into the pits for his mediums because he still has not stopped, unlike the rest of the drivers behind him who have.
Yeah, it's just all about now how these strategies do play out with these eventual pit stops that will come into play. Of course, if these drivers like Kilkenny and Imtiaz somehow, a miracle happens and they're able to somehow pull off a one stop, if someone just goes for that Hail Mary, maybe a Scott Holmes or an Ave Gabaddi, as we actually see Kilkenny into pit lane for the medium compounded tyres.
Why?
I was going to say a Hail Mary.
Why?
It's because the tyres won't make it to the end. And this is their best opportunity to go onto a set.
Onto hards?
Onto more hards.
What?
Wow.
Does he not have any mediums? Does he not have any softs? Kilkenny, you've just thrown the race. You've completely thrown it. And I'm calling it here. That is the worst situation. How much did he know? Was he dreading this moment? This is a disaster to see.
That is Kilkenny. I don't know if he had an... I don't think... If you choose the balanced option, I think you do get 2 sets of medium compounded tyres, unless he chose the softer variant. I'm surprised he didn't go to the medium compounded tyres. But
unless he felt quicker, the only way I could think of it is if he genuinely had more pace on those hards over the mediums.
More pace. It's just seemed, especially with Cameron Dowds, against those medium tyre runners. Of course, it was the very start of the race, but he never made any inroads either. And I think this two-stop as well, I think they were hoping everybody else was going to go onto the two-stop. Of course, this was be all planned out. They will know exactly what they're doing unless they make it on the fly, which a majority of them, especially it being such a high level, wouldn't be doing. As we now see, of course, Dowds into pit lane and also Van Erven too. He's now just picked up a 10-second time penalty. And unfortunately for him, retires from the race. Our first and only retirement so far on this race. But as we now make our way through turn 3 of Kilkenny, he's got a lot of catch up to do. But I think at this point, unless there is a late safety car, it's all thrown away. Not only just down to, well, just down to strategy. He's thrown it all away.
Well, Kilkenny, if he's a second a lap quicker, and he can make these overtakes every lap that comes ahead of him, there could be a shot to get back on the podium. However, it's for nothing. Diego's sitting in third. He's not going to pit. He knows that he could, all he has to do is just slow that pace down. As long as he doesn't get overtaken by, it would probably be down to Aaron in 7th. As long as he doesn't get overtaken by him, he's golden. He doesn't have to do anything. And he's aware of it. Oh, and just added bonus. Why don't he give himself some extra gap? And now it's JST that he doesn't have to be overtaken by.
Yeah, exactly. So for Diego Zorzo, he's now just chilling out in 2nd place. He's doing everything he can in his final race before retirement. And now looking at the, of course, potential championship he can wrap up. He announced his retirement only a few days ago. He said if everything went well, today will be the final race he competes in his career thus far. And for Diego Zorzo, everything has gone well. Everything has gone the right way. And for the McLaren driver, he is staring at the championship, which has never looked in doubt since round 1. He took the opening 4 rounds. He hasn't returned to the top step since, as we see Kilkenny now go around the outside of Basner. A lovely move there from the Mercedes man. And now with DRS open, will potentially get past Tonelato as well. So he gets 2 cars in the span of around about 3 corners. He's up to 9th place, but he's just going to fall short unless something absolutely monstrous happens in this race and potential chaos ensues.
Yeah, it's going to be a mad dash. Kilkenny is going to make the boldest of lunges. Anything just to claw back pride at this point. And that's all he's fighting for, is just a sense of pride, a purple in the first sector as well, because of that beautiful toe that he got. He's got clean air all the way. He's already dropped it from 2.8 to 1.6 as his gap ahead. He's flying. He's absolutely flying. And now we're seeing why he chose those hards, because he could be more aggressive off it.
He certainly can be a lot more aggressive off this strategy, but even then, even if he does win the race and then Zorzo finishes 3rd, it will not matter. He needed a miracle in this one, really did Tamas Kilkenny. Of course, he's still got 10 laps for that to happen, but we might have to just see the Hungarian's championship fall from his grasp. Van Zelter makes his way up into 10th. Those mediums not really working into the favour he would have wanted. Potentially that's why Kilkenny's gone onto the hards. Those mediums would have just fallen off too soon. As we see also as well, Labella making his way past JST. Of course, that's one man that might be a little bit tricky here for Kilkenny. Here, Hyper, is the fact that Labella, yes, it's a 4-lap difference in tyre, but he has to try and get past the Kick Sauber, who is also pushing very aggressively on this strategy.
Yeah, that's going to be a little bit difficult to play with. And Labella is kind of been that little underdog who's followed this alternative strategy. And for his side of the race, he's currently sitting all the way down in 18th with only 15 points. If he could jump a few more positions, that's going to give him a huge haul of position jumps. On top of that, Bakar, if he could stay in 3rd, he will jump from 8th. And most likely, I am not doing the maths, so please, people, do not sit here and quote exactly the maths. He has very high chances of jumping ahead of Tom Roberts up into 3rd, maybe just behind. I don't know, with potential to jump up quite high.
Yeah, he certainly does indeed. As we now see, of course, Valentino Labella hunt down Aaron Raminguez in front. see what he can do in all of this, see what he can do in this train. And we're now going to be looking at Ramirez, the Bella, getting past the Alpine with immediate effect. And as he's going to try and potentially look for a lunge that Ramirez tried a little bit earlier on in this race into turn 10, but no, just not close enough to do that at the moment. Kokenny's all over the back of him as well, but the only issue for Kokenny is everybody has DRS, so he's going to have to use that tyre advantage in his favour, as when we cross the line, we'll have a total of 8 laps to go in this Grand Prix. 8 laps, he's got to pass 8 cars, so it's a car a lap. And just look how fast he is through that penultimate corner. But with that DRS, I think the Bella is just going to be able to hold on.
Might be able to hold on, so it may not be to turn 1, but somewhere else around the track could be a possibility as the Mercedes gets also close, and that's a little touch of the rear wing. Oh god, that's not going to be good for the aerodynamics of the Mercedes, but I tell you what, Kokenny does not care in the slightest. He's now got slow, old, tired drivers ahead of him, and it's now a picking ground. It's the opportunity to go. We should be back.
Yes, we should be back, everybody. I hope it's all good on the, of course, YouTube side. I'm sorry about the power cut that happened. Of course, I could not control that at all. I don't know who won in the end. I don't think the race is over just yet. We're just on a black screen within my game. It's loading. I'll quickly head to the calendar. I know they're on the last lap, but just so you're not staring into the black void. I don't think we're going to be able to get in time. Oh, this is so annoying. We're on for such a good race. We're about to crown the champion. And then my power decides to go out, which is great to, of course, great for us, because nobody wanted to watch the end of that one, because it was shaping up to be an absolute classic in Tier 2. But, yeah, with the way my game is going at the moment, I don't think we are going to be able to get it running again.
I feel it's BT just got involved.
Someone's won. I've just got on my screen. I've just got an audio through from the game. But,
come on, team.
Yeah. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the way I wanted things to go. I can't remember the last time my power went out, and for some reason it was today. So yeah, fun times. So.
It's annoying, but it is what it is. It's nothing we can do about it. It's how the cookie crumbles. And until we get a visual confirmation of the standings, unless someone has very kindly put it in the chat, not just yet, we have no clue.
No, we don't know who won that race, or even if Zorzo is champion in his final race. Zorzo P1. Zorzo won the race. Oh, that would have been such a good way to round off his career if he could get it on camera.
Damn.
I think it's Tamas P2 and then Alex in P3. Oh, that is so disappointing to hear. Oh, that we couldn't get it. I'm so sorry, everybody at home. Of course, it's not my fault. It's not in my control. That could happen, but I'm so sorry you were not able to see your champion crowning moment. But in his swan song race here in the Netherlands, Diego Zorzo has taken the championship after what could have potentially been, after this season here, Hyper, F1 Esports calling. He's decided to cut his career short, I think for personal reasons. Of course, we don't know what it is, but whatever he goes into next, we wish him all the best. But for Diego Zorzo, he's wrapped it up at the first time of asking. Well, second time of asking, should we say. But on his first attempt after announcing his retirement. He's wrapped it all up, and that is the end of Diego Souza's career.
What a drive. Clean, consistent. He had Alexandro's rear end, the most beautiful rear end of a car, constantly annoying him. But he kept his cool, and at some point in the point between us losing power to coming back, he has made that overtake, that critical lunge to get ahead. So I wish I could build more. I want to build more because I'm a storyteller, but there's no story without being able to visually see it.
Yeah, there is no story to say. I think it was an absolute cracking final lap ahead, but unfortunately, we don't know what happened. I mean, if any of the drivers come into interviews, we could ask them what happened in those final 10 laps.
Give us the news! Give us the news! Exactly what we need.
What did happen? But it's just so annoying we weren't able to see that. If it was any other race, if it wasn't a championship defining race, it wouldn't be as annoying. It would still be annoying, but not as annoying. But that's just so unfortunate. Especially for all you guys at home as well who were wanting to see that one. I saw the chat was very active. Everybody was tuning in, getting ready to see if Zorzo could do it. And he wasn't even able to get the final moments of his career online. But yeah, it's just one of those things that happen.
Here we go. Someone has put it in chat. Kokeni in second, 0.5 behind.
Look at that. He must have pipped Alejandro at the line. I'm going to quickly see if I can bring this in over the calendar screen. I mean, you've all seen the calendar for long enough. You know exactly what is on the calendar. So we'll quickly bring it up for you now. It is in... No, that's not worked at all. That is in very... It's because of the format. It is. It's in. You could just see the yellow flag marker in the top left. So yeah, that has not worked at all. Let me bring the calendar back.
We got more calendar stuff. Yeah.
But the order was as followed: Diego Zorzo, followed by Kokeni, Alejandro, Bakar. The top four separated by about a second and a half. That's how close it was, with Alejandro and Tamash Kokeni separated by 200ths. Then it was Lanrock, Modler, Raminguez, The Bella, Van Seltzer, Dowds, Holmes, Imtiaz, Tonalato, Beisner, Esti, Marquardt, Gabadi, and of course Van Erven. Of course, retiring from the race. But I'm going to ask the top three if they want any interviews.
We've got to get at least the top three in. I
want Zorzo in. If we could get anyone in, it's Zorzo because he's the last man.
Yay! Zorzo said yes. We're happy. We want him in.
We do want Zorzo in. His final interview. Oh, he joined the waiting for interviews, didn't he? Oh no, he's been dragged in by Hyper. So for his final interview of his career thus far, Diego Zorzo, we wasn't able to catch the final 10 laps of your career either because a power cut decided to happen.
Yeah, I know, don't worry.
But of course, congratulations on being the champion, and of course, congratulations on what's been a fantastic career. How is it all feeling right now?
Pretty good. I'm honestly relieved. I wanted to win the championship today, but I also wanted to win the race as my last one. So happy that I could do it. It was a bit tough because Alex was really fast, and I went like wide in turn one. I think you didn't see, but I managed to make the move and win the race. So very happy to finish like this, honestly.
Yeah, a lot of the time we were seeing you behind Alexandro, and it almost felt like in the corners you weren't keeping up, you were losing a lot of time. Is that by chance a setup, or is that just Alexandro's pure pace that he was bringing forward?
No, that was just me saving tires, and I know he was probably saving as well because we were pretty slow. You know, if you do a one stop in this track, you need to save a lot. So yeah, I could have overtaken him and he could have overtaken me back. So there was no point in fighting because there were people doing a two stop. So I just opted for saving tires behind him, and that's why it probably seemed like I was 8, 9 tenths in the corners, and then in the with the DRS I catched back. But it was just pure tire management.
Yeah, it was certainly all just management in that first stage. I mean, just talk us through those final 10 laps or so, of course. Feed us in what exactly happened in those final few laps. We saw it was really close between you and the top 4. Was it a last lap move you did on Alejandro, or did you set it up a little bit earlier?
Yeah, so Tamas was the first guy on a two stop, so he catched and he overtook literally everyone, and he was P3 like, I don't know, 2 laps to go or 3 laps to go. So I think he went for a move on me. We made a bit of contact, but I managed to keep the position, and then in the last lap I went around the outside of Alejandro in turn 1, and I went a bit wide, but I managed to keep it. We actually went side by side in turn 3, so it was a bit scary. But yeah, and then in the last corner, I think he lost the car, and Tamas got through by I think 20 thousandths to the line.
Sounded like a cracking.
And I've got to point out the massive split of strategy. You said you were committed to that one stop. Was there any point in this race that you were thinking that you were on the wrong strategy and a win was not imminent, or was it just, I am so confident and I know I'm gonna make this work? What was that mindset when you saw everyone else peeling in early and you were still going?
Well, I knew I wanted to do a one stop. I was sure of that because if I started in the top 5, then you need to do a one stop basically. But the problem was the one stop train wasn't large enough, and Tamas got through really easily. So if it was a bit longer, like if more people were on that strat, then Tamas would have probably got past, well, not everyone, let's say, and I would have been really confident. But when I saw he boxed for the second time and he was like 2 seconds behind the train, I was like, oh yeah, okay, so this is not done at all. Obviously, the championship was looking good because I was on P2 and I only needed P6. But the race wasn't secured by any means. But then I knew I could like keep in behind as well for a couple laps at least. And if I couldn't, I could always overtake Alejandro. But I wanted to be P2 and defend him because I knew my defense skills were good enough to keep him behind. Let's say.
Yeah, certainly were indeed, but yeah, of course, it's a bit of an emotional day for yourself, Diego. Of course, being the final race of your career. Is it your final race of your career indefinitely, or will we see you back at some point in the very distant future?
At the moment, it is a goodbye. I mean, never say never, but for the moment, I'm quitting and I'm not coming back unless the situation changes massively.
Yeah, well, congratulations on everything you have achieved so far in your career, and of course, this is the end of the road. But of course, I mean, you'll probably be around with some of the people in the chats that you're friends with and everything, so you're not going to be completely distant from the community, but that is the end of your career. But yeah, thank you for everything, Diego, and yeah, enjoy the championship celebrations, enjoy the final race celebrations, and enjoy the race victory celebrations.
Thank you guys, it was a pleasure to race here and win the championship. Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Of course, thank you for being here and giving us your all, Diego. But Hyper, that is going to be all. We say goodbye to one of the drivers that have had such a meteoric rise over recent years in Diego Zorzo. He really has climbed up through the ranks. Everyone was thinking potentially after this season, could he have the same fate as Rapassa, looking at Tier 1, looking at potential futures in F1 esports. But he's decided, let's finish at my peak, let's retire at the top of my game. And for Diego Zorzo, it's got to be goodbye.
Yeah, it's one of those tough decisions, but clearly there's something else going on in his life that will deem him to stop. And it sucks because all you're thinking of now is what it could be and was there an opportunity. But the reality is he's going out on a high. He knows the community's going to respect him, and he knows that he's walking out a winner and champion. You can't ask for a better way to exit. It's almost the biggest mic drop I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's Nico Rosberg levels of mic drop with the end of his career. Not doing it after he won the title, but still doing it at the top of his game. And of course, we do wish Diego the best in whatever he does in his personal life or whatever he amounts to next. But of course, Hyper, we've also got to talk about commiserations to the rest of the field, especially Tamas Kokeni. No matter what he tried today, it just wasn't enough. He tried, but he unfortunately fell a little bit short from taking it on a little bit further. But you think he'll be back for next season and looking to potentially take over those reins. But Alejandro, yes, it was a third place. He wasn't able to convert that pole. He certainly has been competitive over recent weeks, ever since that debut in Australia.
Yeah, very spicy, very quick, and Alejandro's got a lot to prove, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tier 2 gets spicier from here onwards with Alejandro in the mix. Maybe if, people have been watching carefully, there could be a possible jump up to Tier 1 because he has been so competitive and so quick, because, Coney could also go up to Tier 1. You don't know what changes can lurk around when you are ahead of everybody else, but we'll wait and see because we've still got another 2 races to go.
Yeah, we certainly do. Of course, championship off the table, but everything still to play for. We won't see the champion in the final 2 rounds. His career is unfortunately done. But that is going to be all from us here, ladies and gentlemen, of course, as we see your calendar with Belgium and Sao Paulo over the course of the next 2 weeks. And then we'll finish it all off for another season here in Season 22. And Season 23 will be in the pipelines over the course of the next few seasons. Actually, I say it's time we end it. I've just seen Kokeni's in the waiting for interviews chat. Oh, no. Yep, yes, there he is. Hyper has dragged him in. You keep confusing me with that, Hyper. I see him there and then he disappears. But, Tamas, commiserations to you. You just fell short in keeping your title hopes alive. But did you come into this one thinking it was a long shot anyway?
Hello everyone. Yeah. It was a bit shame because Alejandro and Diego was playing perfectly the game. But both of them knew that if I'm P2, then I win the race. So yeah, the start was not good, but I knew that I will do 2-stop race. So 1 position didn't really matter. And yeah, I'm pushing the whole race, and it helped really that the train got splitted in many places, so it helped me to overtake. But yeah,
I can definitely say that your overtaking skills are to die for. A lot of aggressive moves, trying to pick people off quickly, but that came with a tire advantage. Is there what satisfaction do you get when you are on fresher tires working your way up through the field?
It's a good feeling. It's always a good feeling when you are the fastest on the track and you know that you can overtake. So yeah, it was a fun race. It was really fun for me.
It did seem like quite a fun race over the course of that one, even in the comms box. But just talk us through, of course, how those final few laps were for you. Of course, we said you sliced your way through the field. What about that run with Alejandro to the line? Did he just get a little bit loose out of the final corner and that gave you the momentum you needed?
He made a mistake in the last corner, and yeah, he hooked me a bit, and this is why I was a bit close at the line, but yeah.
Yeah, it definitely, like, unfortunately we weren't able to actually capture the last bits of the race due to a power cut, but I tell you what, the numbers speak for themselves. You've now got 2 races. We know that Diego has officially retired from here. Are we just going to see victory from you from here onwards for the final 2 race? What's the plan coming into the final 2?
In Belgium, definitely a race win, but I plan that in Sao Paulo, in Brazil, I will do a last to first. So yeah.
Ooh. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for that.
That is going to be exciting to see. I mean, you made it through the field today. What stops you from doing it in Brazil?
Yeah.
But yeah, are you confident heading into those final 2 rounds then to pick up
Yeah.
at least a win into Belgium and then whatever happens in Brazil?
Yeah, definitely.
Right then.
Definitely.
All right then, Taras. Well, congratulations on your 2nd place. Commiserations on the championship, but still plenty to fight for this season. And yeah, we shall hopefully see you back as the race winner of next week's Belgium Grand Prix.
I hope so.
Thank you for joining us in the box. But that was Tamas Kokeni, everybody. I mean, of course, this does seem a bit like a bit of a flat, somewhat interview. Of course, we're going to go back to the camera for now because our cameras have not been set up thanks to OBS deleting hypers. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting rest of the season. The gloves will be off between everybody. No holds barred remaining, and hyper. It's going to be all down to just who will come out on top, and there's less pressure, especially on Kokeni. He doesn't have to keep a championship alive. He can just drive how he wants to.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to think about losing 2nd place as well. He has that on lock. So that, for him, is the biggest sigh of relief. It's finally over. He doesn't have to think about it. It's just relax time. That is it.
Yeah,
so
it is going to be just relax time for Kokeni and just drive how he wants to. But that is going to be all, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you next time out in Belgium. Is there any last words from you, Hyper, before we end off the stream?
I was going to do a silly, but actually, no. It genuinely has been such a great race. And the last few races have really changed my opinion on how F1 esports races have become. They have stayed, for the last few, have been very interesting, and I'm glad the drivers are keeping the attack going rather than playing the boring.
Yes, they certainly have indeed. But that is going to be all. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully, we go issue-free for the rest of the season. The issues only piping up exactly when we needed them the least. If it was any other round, it wouldn't be as bad. But thank you all for sticking with us, everybody who has stayed, even though we weren't able to catch those final few laps. Thank you for that. But we shall see you next time out in Belgium. It could be me and Hyper again. It could be me and Corey. We do not know. We'll just have to wait and see. But thank you all very much for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and we shall see you in the next one. Thank you and bye-bye.